Disclaimer. The opinions and speculations presented in discussions about true crime are based on available information, public records, and individual perspectives. They do not constitute factual claims or legal conclusions. Content provided is for entertainment purposes only.
Shit around here, son?
We lost you. I'm not. You don't shit around here. You're just trying to chill, man. If you're that shit. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth! Order in the court!
Hey guys, welcome to Strange Suspicion. If you're a paid member or subscriber and have been here before, hey guys, welcome back. If you're new here, I hope that you'll like this video enough to push that subscribe button, that like button, and share your views with us as a community. Let's do that with curiosity and not disrespect, guys, okay? So many of you have sent so many incredible comments, and I just wanted you to know that these comments, they touch my heart. Each and every one of you, all your kind words builds up this channel and makes me more excited each week, Mondays and Thursdays at 4:20 p.m. Eastern. If you guys can meet me here, that would be great. I'm happy for you to watch my video at any time. And I'm happy to read your comments, whether or not you agree with me. I will approach your comments with respect and curiosity. I mean, it's not a popularity contest, guys. No creator knows more than another creator. No viewer or no subscriber or anybody knows more than anyone else. The only people that know what really happened in this case, once again, is Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, Ethan, Bethany, Dylan, and whoever did it. If you're not one of those people, I encourage you to read other people's comments and consider their thoughts, because they're just as valid as anybody else's. I see the justice system in our country failing, like on a regular basis. It's not okay. There is a case right now of the Kansas City 3, they're calling it. There were 3 deceased Kansas City Chief fans at a friend's house who claims he has no idea what happened. Maybe they're trying to protect like their reputations, lower statistics on drug overdoses, make their cities seem safer than they are, less troubled than they are. I feel like the trouble is the law enforcement, to be honest. I'm scared that police make up whatever they want so they don't lose their jobs, or because they've done something wrong, or because they're just unhinged and they put hands on people too much.
Will not be indicted.
I hate that. I hate that serve and protect means intimidate and abuse and lie. The truth will set you free. The truth is respectful. The truth is morally right. And little children believe that police officers are people that will protect them. So many kids in this country know that's not true. Kids in school shootings, kids who lost their lives to violence in schools or at home, abuse, neglect, police officers coming time and time again and not reporting things like domestic violence or violence in a college. They don't want people to think like, we got a high drug addiction problem at the University of Idaho, or we aren't safe to walk around at night in Moscow, Idaho. I mean, if you don't believe me, go to their YouTube channel. Looks like a blast. That college looks like a lot of fun, guys. But it's not. It's all image. I feel like the image of Moscow, Idaho is... I don't feel like you can ever, after this case, ever trust law enforcement. I don't think like hiding evidence from someone's lawyer is morally just. I don't feel like they have any idea what they're doing. And these people are in charge of our lives. They decide fate of a lot of people. And they're working like a fluid connection with one another. Like a completely blended organization. Like all for one, one for all.
You don't want to be on a camera, you probably should leave. But generally, we can't see very well farther back in the courtroom. So just so you're aware of that.
So my connection with all this is obviously Ann Taylor is being bamboozled. She's being tricked.
We have been on this case and active and seeking discovery and reviewing discovery, meeting with experts and working the case since the day we were assigned this case. So with that said, there's still plenty to do. And I want to talk a little bit specifically about that. In a case where there is the potential for a death penalty, we're looking at two tracks of trial. We're looking at the innocence phase where there's tons of witnesses and a lot of things that happen. And if there is a guilty verdict, we immediately go to a sentencing phase. That's up to the jury what happens there, but both parties have to be ready to proceed forward. So we don't get the luxury of focusing on our case, the state's investigation, our own investigation solely. We focus on that. We are working on that, but we are required to begin our mitigation case. That's what it's called, the penalty case. We are to put on mitigation. We are guided by the ABA standards, American Bar Association standards in capital cases. That's what this is. A death penalty case is a capital case, and we're guided by those standards. And they tell us that as attorneys, we must investigate every aspect of the case in the innocence stage. We must meet with our client regularly, which we do. We must engage in experts and understand the issues that are coming, which we are. The American Bar Association guidelines in capital cases say we must hire a mitigator and there must be a mitigation investigation. We hired a mitigator, probably one of the very first people we contacted. And so that has been ongoing for 13 months almost as well. We have not been sitting back and waiting. Your Honor, in this case, the complexities are that there are special areas of focus. And when we get to trial, counsel for the state will put on experts to educate the jury on specific areas of focus, as will we. And it takes a while to get all of that done. In addition to that, as the court knows, everything is recorded. There's digital footprints all over the place. And so we have a lot of records that we have to go through. I know that the court has heard about 51 terabytes of information that we've received. And I want to tell you what that means. Ms. Massa found a statistic for me, and I want to tell you how much 51 terabytes of data is. And she found that. She was looking at Dropbox.com, and 51 terabytes of our discovery, to put it in perspective, 1 terabyte can hold 250,000 pictures. 1 terabyte, and we have 51 of those. Or 500 hours of high definition video, and we just have one of those. So 500 hours times 51, or 6.5 million document pages. And that's equal to 1,300 filing cabinets. And we have 51 terabytes, not just one. So that's a lot. There's specialized knowledge. There's a lot to go through in this case. We also have another player in the case, and that's the presence of the media. This is a case that has drawn a ton of attention from the media, and it continues to do so, and I don't think that's stopping anytime soon. The impact of that is that we have found that when we want to talk to witnesses, sometimes they don't want anything to do with us. Sometimes they're people that have already talked to the media too much, and so we shouldn't talk to them or bring them into the case. So that's just a complication. We're working through it. We're working around it. But that's something that the court has to be aware of. I want to let the court know that there are over 400 potential witnesses in the innocence phase alone. I personally and my team have talked to less than 10%, well, less than 10% of those witnesses. In the mitigation phase, our mitigation expert has been actively working the case. We've all been working alongside our mitigation expert. There are still well over 100 people left to try to contact and try to interview. And let me back up and explain what we do with mitigation. We are to learn Bryan's life story. We are to go all the way back to before he was born and learn his life story. We have to be prepared to talk about that in different ways. But it's not just a life story. We're required to go 3 generations back on each side, mom and dad. The court can imagine that there are a lot of documents that must be collected and examined and reviewed so that we are aware of things that we would need to present to our jury if we ever got to that phase. We have had a lot of trouble collecting documents. Sometimes it takes a court order to get documents. Sometimes documents are missing. Sometimes they're very old and you have to piece things together. We're working through it, but I want the court to know it takes some time for that as well. There are records yet to be obtained that we need in both sides. There are still experts yet to be hired.
In cases such as this, with facts like this, a jury is entitled to decide not only guilt, but potential fulfillment. We are simply trying to fulfill our responsibilities under the law. To characterize it as the state is trying to kill someone is just simply appealing to raw emotion, and it has no place in this courtroom. We would ask that that not be allowed any further. Now, as to the trial, Ms. Nyer already noted that we have a variety of competing interests here. We have certainly the defendant's right to a speedy trial, which he has waived. As I indicated to the court, if we cannot have a trial this summer, then I would say the earliest would be the summer of next year.
I'm going to contemplate a little bit. It's not like I have to set this within 2 or 3 months, apparently. And I want to do the right thing. Okay. So, does that conclude what we need to talk about today, Mr. Thompson?
I believe so, Judge.
Okay. Ms. Taylor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, well, thank you all. We are adjourned.
I feel like the judge saying he's going to take 2 or 3 months to figure out a trial date is just him stalling to lay it on her real quick with a very, very short notice. She said none of this stuff makes sense, guys. She said the more evidence she's encountered and able to see, the less connection Bryan Kohberger has to do with any of this. Any of it. Come on. Just because it's Bluetooth connected to something. Have you guys ever turned on your Bluetooth? I encourage you to do it. Turn on your Bluetooth right now and see what you can connect to. I did it. I connected to my neighbor. I've connected all kinds of things to my Bluetooth. Is it so impossible that Bryan had any friends in the apartment building? I don't know. Do you? I would say the chances of him knowing somebody in the town he's driving around is pretty big. And it doesn't have to be stalking women. Like, it could be harmless. There's not much to do there. And yes, he was up late, but we don't know what he was doing for work or what paper was due. We just know that he was a student and he was in a car and he was driving around Moscow. I don't know what to think about any of this, but I can tell you that that hearing was bogus. Super bogus. Sealing of all this stuff, all the way up to A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. They can't even see any of that? Why? Why can't we know about it? Why do we have to know everything that incriminates somebody? Is that innocent until proven guilty? I'm asking you. Sus gang, strange syndicate, insanely suspicious, unpaid subscribers and visitors. How does that make any sense? I don't feel like it does. And justice is supposed to make sense. Truth is supposed to make sense. If they had nothing to hide, why is everything sealed? I can't imagine being in there that long, knowing that there's exculpatory evidence and you could just be let go. Sitting still, being patient, listening to all these accusations time after time after time, but standing silent because you know the truth is going to set you free. The truth does often set people free. But instead, we're like making him out to be Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer or whoever. And that's not right. How does it have anything to do with Ted Bundy, guys? Tell me. Ted Bundy is a convicted serial killer. Bryan Kohberger is innocent until proven guilty. The only way you could say something like that is out of disrespect and misinformation. Again, you're entitled to your own opinion on this channel at all times without any disrespect. So if you have anything that you would like to add to anything I've said, please understand that this is speculation, an assumption, and theory. I am well educated. You can see that in my channel description. I don't need to say that all the time. Hopefully it shows. But there's certain things in this case that need to be brought to light for anyone to have a fair shot in court, even for the state of Idaho. Transparency is the most important part of justice. Transparency, truth. They make you put your hand on a Bible and say, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me. People promise to tell the truth, and that's how justice is served, by finding the truth. You can't find the truth if it's being hidden. Bryan Kohberger can't be set free until that evidence is shown. There's a lot of body language going on in the courtroom where people are saying Bryan is making certain faces when certain victims' names are coming up. I mean, like, look in the mirror once. Honestly, do it. Look in the mirror and pretend someone just said you killed 4 people. What kind of expression would you have? I would feel numb at this point. I can't imagine being in jail for over a year, not even allowed to defend yourself, and standing silent because you're like, wow, let this blow up in their face. Because I believe it will blow up in their face. I believe that all these mistakes are going to come to light no matter what. Whether Bryan is convicted for these crimes or not, all these inconsistencies, all these things that are overlooked. There's a full trash can in the backyard and a full trash can in Kaylee's room.
It did not appear to have been gone through.
Police saying they had gathered more than 100 pieces of physical evidence from the scene, along with some 4,000 photos and 3D scans of the residence. Still, frustration mounting for the family over what they consider a lack of communication and a rush to tear down the home on King Road. Christy describes for the first time how Kaylee was found.
It's my understanding Kaylee was kind of sitting up.
Yes.
And had fought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the way that room's put together, if you come through that door, you can't get out of that room.
Completely, totally trapped.
Yeah. You're in a bed.
Tiny room. The bed was the entire room. You could barely open up the door without swiping the foot of the bed. And it was wall. You know, the headboard was up against the wall. The side where Kaylee was on was up against the wall. And if you can imagine Kaylee in an upright sort of position, up in the corner, slumped. I mean, she was trapped.
And somehow they found trace DNA on a knife sheath. But they're not looking anywhere else. All this mixed information from Steve and his family and law enforcement and the coroner and Moscow Police Department, Idaho State Police, FBI, all this misinformation we're getting is probably because they're protecting the information that needs to be kept secret, unmanipulated. You can't believe that somebody who's not being transparent could ever be giving anyone a fair shot. You can't hide fact and then put someone away or put them on a firing squad. That's brutality. I can't even imagine being a part of something like that or witnessing something like that. That is so traumatic. so Neanderthal, so outdated. But for some reason, they really want him to go down hard. I don't see the motivation here, but I know there is one. Otherwise, nothing would be hidden. They're like, this guy's definitely guilty. He's our only suspect. See? But they're not letting us see anything. They're just letting us come up with all our interesting and very entertaining, sometimes, theories. All these tips that they got erased. And then more tips came into the tip line. But they haven't even reviewed these tips. But somehow they all lead to Bryan Kohberger. It's ludicrous. I don't know how it's going to happen, guys, but I really do think that these mistakes are going to be revealed. At the end of this investigation, possibly they'll be investigated. Who thought it was a good idea to get rid of a house where a murder weapon could have been stashed? I saw all kinds of, like, when they demolished the house, we also saw that little cubbyhole thing there. I don't know if that was for plumbing or if that was a crawl space for some reason for, I don't know, HVAC or whatever. But there were plenty of, like, closets. Did they go through all the closets? Did they go what did they go through is what I want to know. And I'm guessing that's also a question that Ann Taylor has, because how did you clear certain people and how did you clear certain areas without even checking them? To the point where there's like a squeezy applesauce in the garbage. Fresh applesauce remnants in Kaylee's garbage can. But Kaylee moved out, I thought, so I'm not sure who would have even been in there. Like, did she just slip in there and get some applesauce quick and throw it away? Why didn't they check her room? Isn't that where the dog was? How do we know who put the dog away? Must have been someone the dog was familiar with, because it wasn't barking. Dylan thought that they were playing upstairs with the dog, so I don't think it sounded like it was in any distress or worried about anything. Perhaps somebody was in there with the dog who knew the dog. I know he's been cleared too, guys, but Jack D, he is quite a character. He's like probably under a gag order like everyone else. Like, I'm hoping Adam and Jack Showalter, if that's him in the hoodie, I hope they're subpoenaed and they're under a gag order, because I haven't heard anything. Like, what did Adam hear? Who did he hear it from? Maddie? And what was said? Because whatever was said identifies people who would have a motive to kill her. And then kill whoever else was in the house. So there were no witnesses. But not without a lookout, not without a driver, not without a plan. And if you were a criminologist, or you're about to be a doctor of criminology, guys. God, that's so much school. Even in the spur of the moment, I don't think anybody can forget all that education and leave such an obvious touch DNA print. Maybe it's going to be found in the 51 terabytes of information and video that she hasn't seen. She's seen parts of a video, she said, but she hasn't been given the whole thing. I would think they left out the most important part. And that's pretty frustrating. For Bryan, for Ann, and for the rest of us who believe in justice. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today, and I hope that you will return, subscribe, like, and comment. Please share this video, and know that I appreciate each and every one of you, and remember to stay suspicious.
We gotta figure this out, guys.